Don't always be available. Scarcity creates value. When you make yourself too available, too present, too ready at every beck and call, you remove the weight of your presence. You strip away the opportunity for someone to appreciate what it feels like when you're not around. Think about it. If something is always there, always within reach, it's taken for granted. People assume it will always be there, so they stop valuing it. But when something becomes rare, when it's not always easy to access, suddenly it shines brighter, becomes more precious, more desirable. This is true in love, relationships, and life in general. Scarcity builds appreciation, and appreciation builds desire. When you make yourself constantly available to someone, you unconsciously teach them that your time has no value. You show them that no matter what, you'll drop everything to cater to them. But the truth is, your time is the most valuable thing you have. You can't buy it back, you can't rewind it, and once it's given away, it's gone forever. That's why you must be careful where and how you spend it. When a man sees that you honor your own time, that you don't just hand it over like it costs nothing, he begins to honor it too. He begins to realize that every moment with you is a privilege, not a right. It's the same principle we see in life. Why is gold valuable? Why do diamonds sparkle in the eyes of the world? It's not because they are indestructible. It's because they are rare. You can't walk down the street and find diamonds scattered in the dirt. You can't stumble across bars of gold lying around like pebbles. Their value is tied to scarcity. Your presence works the same way. If you want someone to truly see your worth, you can't be like sand on the beach everywhere all the time. You have to be like treasure, something that has to be sought, something that must be cherished when found. Being scarce doesn't mean playing childish games, ignoring calls for the sake of ego, or pretending you're busy when you're not. No, it means prioritizing yourself. It means building your life in such a way that you're not dependent on another person's attention to feel fulfilled. When you have your own goals, your own joy, your own commitments, you naturally become less available. And that's attractive. That makes someone lean in, wonder what you're up to, think about you when you're not around. That gap creates longing. That space makes them miss you. There's also something magnetic about someone who isn't constantly accessible. Think about the best meals you've ever had. Were they meals you ate every single day, morning, noon, and night? No. They were meals you looked forward to, meals you anticipated, meals you maybe even waited for. That anticipation made the taste richer, the moment sweeter. Relationships operate in the same rhythm. If you're always there, if you never create moments of space, then the anticipation dies. But when you're not always available, when you allow there to be space between interactions, those moments together become more special, more memorable. The danger of always being available is that it feeds comfort, and comfort can quickly turn into complacency. A man who knows you'll always be there doesn't feel the need to pursue, to call, to plan, to show effort. He relaxes into the idea that you are permanent, guaranteed, unshakable, and when effort disappears, so does desire. On the other hand, when you're not always available, you keep him on his toes. He knows he has to put in effort. He knows he has to show up. He knows he can't just take your presence for granted. That's how scarcity creates value. It pushes effort to the surface. And here's the truth. Availability isn't just physical, it's emotional too. Sometimes people give too much of themselves emotionally too soon. They share everything. They reveal all their vulnerabilities. They pour their whole soul into someone who hasn't even earned it yet. When you give all of yourself without measure, it loses its weight. But when you pace it, when you share parts of yourself with wisdom and discernment, you keep your value intact. You make the other person work for the deeper levels of your heart, and in working for it, they appreciate it more. Look at the world around you. Everything valuable is limited. The finest wines are produced in small batches. The most luxurious cars aren't mass-produced like common vehicles. The most breathtaking experiences aren't daily occurrences. They're rare, they're scarce, and because of that, they're unforgettable. If everything in life was always accessible, always within arm's reach, we would lose our sense of wonder, our sense of gratitude. In the same way, if you're always accessible, always within arm's reach, your presence can start to lose its impact. But when you guard your presence, when you're selective with your time, when you let someone experience the joy of missing you, your value multiplies in their eyes. So don't feel guilty for not being everywhere, for not picking up every single time, for not rearranging your life at the snap of a finger. That's not cold, that's wisdom. That's not neglect, that's balance. The ones who are meant for you, the ones who truly value you, will not only respect it, they'll rise to meet it. They'll realize they can't take you for granted, and in that realization, they'll cherish you even more. Scarcity creates value, and when you're not always available, you give someone the chance to discover just how priceless you really are. Live your life fully. Confidence makes him chase. Confidence is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can have, and it doesn't come from pretending. It comes from living a life that feels full, purposeful, and whole with or without someone standing beside you. When you live fully, you send the message that your happiness is not dependent on another person's attention, approval, or validation. You show that you are already complete, already valuable, already enough. That type of confidence is irresistible because it creates a sense of strength and independence that draws people in naturally. Think about it. When you're around someone who radiates joy, ambition, and fulfillment, it's contagious. You want to be around them because their energy lifts you higher. You want to be a part of what they're doing because it feels alive, it feels purposeful. On the other hand, when you're around someone who is waiting for another person to fill their life, it feels heavy. It feels like responsibility instead of inspiration. That's why living your life fully is so important. It removes the weight of neediness and replaces it with the glow of confidence. A man doesn't chase someone who waits by the phone all day. He chases the woman he has to schedule time with because she has her own dreams, her own commitments, her own passions. He chases the woman who doesn't put her world on hold just because he walked into it. That doesn't mean you're dismissive or cold. It means you've built a life worth living, and anyone who wants to be part of it has to bring something to the table. Confidence is not about arrogance. It's about living with such purpose and joy that you don't have to beg anyone to see your worth. Living fully also creates a natural sense of mystery. When your life is full, there will be things he doesn't know about you, things you're exploring, things you're growing in. That mystery makes him curious, and curiosity keeps him chasing. When everything about you revolves around him, he quickly sees all there is to see, and the chase dies. But when he notices that you're constantly growing, constantly moving, constantly stepping into new levels of yourself, he stays engaged, he stays interested, he stays wondering what's next. Confidence also teaches people how to treat you. When you carry yourself with certainty, when you walk in a room with your head high, when you speak with clarity, you're teaching others that you know your value. And when you know your value, others are less likely to test it. A man looks at a confident woman and thinks, she's not going to settle for less. She's not going to accept half effort. If I want her, I've got to bring my best. That's what makes him chase. Not because you demand it, but because your confidence commands it. There is something undeniably attractive about a person who is comfortable in their own skin. Someone who doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. Someone who doesn't dim their light to avoid standing out. Someone who knows they're enough even without constant reassurance. That energy pulls people in without trying. It makes people want to know you, to understand you, to win your attention. And here's the beauty. When you're truly confident, you don't have to chase love. Love comes chasing you. Living fully also means investing in yourself. It means building a life that feels good to you whether you're single or in a relationship. Travel if you want to travel, take that class, start that business, join that gym, pick up that hobby, fill your days with things that bring you joy, peace, and purpose. When you're living fully, you won't cling to someone out of fear of being alone because you've already created a life you love. That freedom makes your energy lighter, and that lightness is what makes someone chase you instead of feeling chased by you. A man admires independence because it reminds him he's with someone strong, someone who chooses him, not someone who needs him to survive. That choice makes him want to rise, makes him want to earn his place in your world. And when he sees that you're not waiting around for him to define your happiness, he starts to wonder how he can fit into the amazing life you've already built. That's where the chase begins, when he realizes you don't need him, but you're valuable enough that he wants to be chosen by you. Confidence is also about how you carry yourself when you're alone. It's easy to look confident in a crowd, but real confidence shows up in the quiet moments. It shows up in how you speak to yourself, how you push yourself to grow, how you hold yourself when no one is watching. When you develop that inner strength, it naturally shows in your outer world. People can sense when someone is truly secure, and that security is deeply attractive. Living fully, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, creates a complete picture of someone who is whole. Wholeness is what makes people lean in, because deep down, everyone is searching for balance, for peace, for purpose. And when a man sees that you've built that for yourself, he doesn't want to risk losing it. He doesn't want to stand on the outside looking in at the life you've created. He wants to step closer. He wants to be part of it. He wants to chase what feels rare and real. That's why confidence is never about shouting, never about proving, never about arrogance. True confidence is quiet, steady, and undeniable. It's the energy of a person who lives fully, who loves themselves enough not to shrink, who builds their life in such a way that anyone who wants a place in it has to work for it. Confidence makes him chase because it proves you're not waiting. You're already living. Keep a little mystery. Curiosity keeps you unforgettable. When someone feels like they know every single detail about you from the very beginning, the intrigue fades too quickly. What captures attention and holds it is not always what's given freely, but what is revealed slowly, piece by piece over time. Mystery doesn't mean being secretive or playing games. It means holding onto enough of yourself that there's always something more to discover. It's about being layered, not a flat open book where every page is shown on the first day. Human beings are wired to be curious. We chase what we don't fully understand. We wonder about what we can't fully grasp. And we remember the ones who left us with questions rather than the ones who told us everything before we even asked. When you keep a little mystery, you give space for imagination, and imagination is powerful. A man who wonders about you when you're not around is a man who can't stop thinking about you. If he can't predict your every move, if he doesn't know every detail of your schedule, if he doesn't hear every thought you've ever had, he'll stay intrigued. That curiosity becomes the fuel that makes him call, that makes him think, that makes him miss you. Mystery is not about silence, it's about pacing. It's about understanding that not everything about you has to be revealed all at once. When you tell someone every single story, every single scar, every single detail too soon, you leave nothing for them to uncover later. But when you share with wisdom, when you reveal parts of yourself naturally, when you let him learn you in layers, you create an ongoing discovery. That ongoing discovery is what keeps you unforgettable. Think about the books and movies that stick with you the most. They're not the ones that gave away the ending in the first 5 minutes. They're the ones that took you on a journey, that kept you guessing, that made you lean in because you wanted to know more. That same principle applies in relationships. If someone can guess your every thought, predict your every move, and already knows every story before you tell it, there's nothing left to uncover. But when there's still more to learn, still more to see, still more to experience, they'll keep coming back because their curiosity hasn't been satisfied. Mystery also adds value to your presence. If you're not always posting every moment of your life on social media, if you're not broadcasting every place you go, every meal you eat, every emotion you feel, you create space for wonder. People begin to imagine what you're doing, where you are, who you're with. That imagination keeps you in their mind even when you're not physically present. Oversharing kills curiosity, but balance keeps it alive. It doesn't mean you have to hide. It just means you don't have to put everything on display. There's also power in leaving space in conversations. You don't always have to respond with the full story. You don't have to give away every thought the moment it comes to you. Sometimes the way you pause, the way you smile without explaining, the way you let silence linger, it creates intrigue. That intrigue is memorable because it gives the other person space to wonder, to imagine, to fill in the blanks. People remember how you made them feel more than the words you said. And curiosity is a feeling that lingers long after the conversation ends. Mystery is also connected to self-respect. When you value yourself enough to know that not everyone deserves immediate access to your deepest self, you naturally protect your essence. You don't hand over your entire identity to someone who hasn't yet earned the right to see it. You let people earn trust, earn closeness, earn the deeper parts of your world. That protection not only safeguards your heart, it heightens your value in the eyes of others. A man respects what he has to work for, and if discovering you is a journey rather than a one-time download, he will treasure every part he uncovers. There is something captivating about a person who doesn't reveal everything right away. Someone who carries themselves with an air of quiet depth, who can smile at a question without giving the full answer, who can share enough to connect but hold enough to intrigue. That type of presence sticks with people because it's rare. Most people either overshare or undershare, but the balance of being open while still holding some mystery is what makes you unforgettable. Curiosity is what makes a man replay your conversations in his head. It's what makes him think about your smile when he's driving, wonder what you're doing when you're not around, and anticipate seeing you again because he knows there's always more to discover. Without curiosity, attraction fades quickly. With curiosity, it grows stronger because he's constantly pulled back by the desire to know more. Living with a little mystery also means you live with confidence. You're not desperate to prove yourself. You're not rushing to give away your whole life story. You're not afraid of whether or not someone will like you if they don't know everything immediately. Confidence allows you to hold back with grace, to trust that the right people will stick around long enough to discover the deeper parts of you. That confidence, paired with mystery, is unforgettable. And here's the secret. Mystery doesn't end once a relationship begins. The most lasting connections are the ones where people continue to grow, continue to evolve, continue to reveal new parts of themselves over time. If you are constantly learning, constantly becoming, constantly adding new chapters to your story, there will always be more to discover about you. That's how you stay unforgettable. Not by being a puzzle that gets solved once, but by being a story that keeps unfolding. Appreciate him, but never worship him. There is a big difference between showing gratitude for a man's efforts and putting him on a pedestal so high that you lose sight of yourself. Appreciation is healthy, it fuels love, it makes a man feel seen and valued. Worship, on the other hand, strips you of balance, blinds you to reality, and creates an uneven dynamic where he begins to feel like he is above you instead of beside you. Love works best when it's mutual, when it's reciprocal, when it's built on equality and respect. The moment it turns into worship, the balance is broken. Appreciation is powerful because every human being wants to feel acknowledged. When a man provides, when he supports you, when he protects you, when he shows effort, it means something to him to hear you say thank you, to see you notice what he's done. Men thrive on appreciation the way plants thrive on water. It makes them grow, it makes them want to do more, it makes them feel purposeful. A man who feels appreciated is inspired to keep stepping up. But the moment appreciation turns into worship, it shifts. He no longer sees your gratitude as a genuine acknowledgement. He begins to see your admiration as dependence. Dependence erases mystery, it erases balance, and it often erases respect. Worship happens when you treat him like the source of your identity instead of a partner in your journey. It happens when you exalt him so high that you forget your own worth. That's dangerous because it tells him, even unconsciously, that you'll accept anything as long as you don't lose him. A man who knows you see him as your entire world will not always feel the need to give his best, because he knows you'll keep him on that throne regardless of his actions. That's not love, that's imbalance. An imbalance never leads to lasting happiness. Appreciation, on the other hand, empowers both people. When you say thank you, when you recognize his effort, when you admire his strength, you're building him up while still holding onto your own foundation. You're saying, I see you, I value what you do, and I'm grateful. But you're not saying, without you, I am nothing. You're not saying, my world rises and falls on your every move. That difference matters because love should never cost you your self-respect. The strongest women are those who can love deeply while still maintaining their independence. They can celebrate their man without losing themselves in the process. They can clap for his wins without forgetting to pursue their own. They can appreciate his presence without treating it like oxygen. That balance is what keeps attraction alive. When a man knows you love him, but also knows you love yourself, he feels honored, not worshipped. He feels respected, not idolized, and that makes him want to give you even more. Worship also creates pressure. When someone feels like you've put them on an unrealistic pedestal, they either get comfortable and stop trying, or they crumble under the weight of expectation. Neither outcome is good for a healthy relationship. A man doesn't want to feel like he's your god, he wants to feel like your partner. He doesn't want to be feared, he wants to be respected. He doesn't want blind admiration, he wants genuine recognition. That's why appreciation is powerful. It's honest, it's real, it's balanced. There's also something magnetic about a woman who knows how to show gratitude while still holding her own standards. She can say, I appreciate what you do, but also say, I won't settle for less than I deserve. She can give compliments without losing her voice. She can admire him without losing her vision. That balance makes her unforgettable because it shows strength wrapped in softness. Men respect women who can love them while still respecting themselves. When you worship a man, you start to shrink yourself to fit him. You might stop pursuing your dreams because you're so focused on his. You might stop setting boundaries because you don't want to risk displeasing him. You might silence your needs because you fear he'll leave if you speak up. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. Appreciation, however, allows you to support him while still pursuing your own purpose. It allows you to clap for him while still demanding the respect you deserve. It allows you to love him without losing you, and here's the truth. Real men don't want worship. They may entertain it for a season, but deep down it doesn't satisfy them. What truly fulfills a man is knowing he is respected by a woman who is strong enough to stand on her own. A man feels proud when he looks at his woman and sees that she chooses him not because she needs to survive, but because she values him. Appreciation tells him he's loved, worship tells him he's above you, and no healthy relationship can thrive when one person is seen as higher than the other. Relationships grow best when both people can admire each other. When you can say, I see your effort, I respect your grind, I appreciate your love, and he can say the same about you, the bond deepens. But if it becomes one-sided, if you're pouring out constant worship while receiving little in return, it creates resentment. Even if you don't recognize it right away, over time that imbalance will weigh heavy on your heart. That's why it's so important to appreciate but never idolize, to admire but never diminish yourself. A man should feel like he's celebrated, but he should also know that he's with someone who carries her own crown. He should feel like he's chosen, not like he's your only chance at happiness. He should feel lifted, not like he's towering over you. That's the balance that keeps relationships healthy. That's the balance that allows love to grow without suffocating either person. So yes, appreciate him, let him know when he's doing well, acknowledge the effort, speak life into him, build him up, but always remember, you're valuable too, you're powerful too, you're worthy too. Appreciation is shared between equals, and that's what makes love last. Silence is power. Full absence speaks louder than words. There are times when speaking less and doing less creates more impact than any speech, argument, or explanation ever could. Silence has a weight to it, a presence of its own, because it forces people to pay attention in ways that noise never does. When you choose silence instead of constant chasing, when you choose absence instead of forcing yourself into someone's life, you create a space that cannot be ignored. People notice when you pull back. They notice when your energy, your attention, and your presence are no longer there, because what was once taken for granted suddenly becomes missed. Many make the mistake of thinking that talking more will get the message across. They think if they argue louder, repeat themselves more, explain harder, eventually the other person will understand. But in reality, too many words can make people tune out. When someone hears the same thing over and over, they stop listening. But when you stop talking, when you stop explaining, when you stop showing up in ways you always did, it shifts the atmosphere. Silence forces reflection in a way words never could. Absence is its own kind of teacher. When you step back, when you remove yourself from spaces where you were once easily accessible, people begin to realize what they've lost. The conversations that once flowed stop coming. The attention that once poured into them is gone. The comfort of always knowing you'd be there disappears, and that emptiness is loud, louder than any lecture, louder than any argument, louder than any attempt to force change. Silence also shows control. It shows discipline. It says, I don't need to fight to prove my point. I don't need to beg you to see my value. I don't need to exhaust myself trying to make you understand. It communicates strength without saying a word. Because not everyone deserves your voice. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Sometimes the greatest statement you can make is made by not making one at all. Absence carries mystery too. When you're always available, always present, always responding immediately, people feel no urgency to value you. They know you'll always be there, so they get comfortable. But when you step back, when you're not as easily reached, curiosity begins to grow. They start wondering where you are, what you're doing, who you're with. That wondering keeps you in their mind, and that is the power of absence. It speaks a message without you ever having to form a sentence. Think about the times you've missed someone deeply. What made you miss them? It wasn't because they told you repeatedly to miss them. It was because they weren't there. The laughter, the presence, the conversations, they were gone, and the absence left an imprint. That's how silence works. It leaves space for someone to feel your value in ways they never could, while you were constantly filling the space with your presence. Silence is also a form of boundary. When someone disrespects you, mistreats you, or doesn't give you what you deserve, you don't have to argue for hours about why it was wrong. You can choose silence. You can step back, withhold your energy, and let your absence deliver the message. That silence says, I will not engage on this level. I will not lower myself into constant chaos. I will not trade my peace for a pointless battle. That kind of silence is powerful because it places dignity above noise. In relationships, absence can reset balance. If someone grows comfortable taking you for granted, silence disrupts that comfort. It makes them realize that access to you is not guaranteed, that your time and attention are not endless, that your love is not a resource to be wasted. When you remove yourself, they feel the void, and that void makes them reflect. It makes them recognize what they failed to appreciate. And that recognition only comes when words stop and actions take over. There is also a deep confidence in using silence. It means you trust that your presence is impactful enough that when it's gone, it will be felt. You don't have to scream for attention because your value already speaks. You don't have to beg to be remembered because your absence ensures you will be. That kind of confidence is magnetic, because it shows you know your worth so well that you don't need to constantly prove it. Even in conflict, silence often wins. Arguments fueled by emotion rarely change hearts. People defend themselves, fight back, and get lost in the heat of words. But when you choose silence, it leaves space for thought. It leaves space for the other person to hear their own words, to reflect on their own behavior, to sit with the weight of what happened. Silence doesn't push. It allows realization to come naturally, and that realization is often more powerful than anything you could have said. Absence is not weakness, it's strategy. It is the understanding that stepping back can create a stronger impact than pushing forward. It's the wisdom to know that sometimes presence is overvalued because it's constant, and absence is undervalued until it's experienced. When someone feels the emptiness of your absence, they also begin to understand the fullness of your worth. That's why silence is not about ignoring, it's about choosing. It's about choosing where to invest your words, where to place your energy, where to give your presence. It's about not wasting your voice in places where it won't be heard, and not wasting your presence in places where it won't be valued. It's about trusting that the right people will understand the weight of your silence, and the wrong ones will fall away because they were never meant to stay. So silence is powerful because it doesn't just communicate, it lingers. Absence doesn't just leave space, it leaves an impression. It forces people to pay attention, to notice, to reflect, to realize. And once that realization hits, it echoes louder than anything you could have said with words.